Now, I know I've spoken about this before, but I've noticed a common thread within a lot of the people that I'm arguing with on the alt-right. Like I've said in my other videos, a lot of them have come to the conclusion that authoritarianism is the solution, right? And that one day it will be necessary to use force, and some people may get hurt, and all of this shit, right? So they all concede to this. But one thing that I've noticed is common among each and every person that tells me this is they are anonymous, right? They all hide their face on Twitter or on YouTube or whatever. They're all anonymous. Pretty much 95, 99% of them are. And they seem to think that staying anonymous is going to do anything. They seem to think that they're actually going to maybe be some of the ones enacting this shit, enacting the violence in order to kick people out, when they're not even willing to show their face online or take risk of, losing financial stability or losing your job. Like, if you're not even willing to risk that, then are you really willing to to put your life on the line to kick 100 million people out of the country? Because if you think it won't turn violent, then you're wrong. And secondly, like I've said in my other videos, you won't gain the amount of people in order to enact these policies to begin with. But if you did, 99% of you guys hide your face. You're not willing to take risk, and you're deluding yourself if you think that you're actually going to be one of those people to go out and do it. Because this is the problem with modern day people and all this stuff. They're like, oh, we'll just have the state do it. The government will do it for us. We'll just get the cops to do it. And they're like, well, I won't have to get my hands dirty. I'll just have the state do it for me. I won't have to do anything. I'll just vote for the policies and I'll just have to sit back and wait. It's like, no, you got to get your hands dirty. And this is the point I was trying to make to some of them, is like, do you think the alt-right would be as successful or as big as it is right now if it wasn't for people at least showing their faces and taking some risk with their reputations and stuff? Like, no, it wouldn't have reached the same height, as it has now if it wasn't for that. It wouldn't have reached the same thing if it was just people who are all anonymous on the internet. So this thing, you need to take actual risk. And like a lot of the civil rights things in the 60s and stuff like that did happen, like, yeah, some of it's bullshit, but some of the stuff to make people, like, to have like black people considered humans and stuff like that, like, they did a lot of things to risk their bodies, to risk going to jail. A lot of people have stood up to communist regimes and this and that for risk of losing their life. And then these are the things that helped change society. It wasn't just, oh, I'm going to stay anonymous and fling shit to people online, and maybe one day this is going to change the scope and this is going to create change. It's like, no, it's not. So if you're not even willing to show your face on the public, then why do you think you're going to be capable of enacting what you want to do and kicking people out? You're not even willing. Like, these are other humans you got to do this to. And I know if people have kind of like otherized each other, like have made each other kind of less human so much, because we're looking too much at the genes. And it's like, yes, we are all human. We all have very similar wants and needs, and you do have empathy for people, even if they're not your same race. And like, you got to really internalize what you're going to need to do in order to get these people out. Because a lot of people like Andrew Anglin, that's like, oh, I don't want to be violent and this and that, but this is what is going to happen. Like, you can't be delusional. Like, it's like the communists who are like, oh, it's not going to turn violent like it did the 20 other times it fucking turned violent. Trust me, this time it'll be different. It's like, no, things don't work out the way you intend them to. And I always see people bringing up, oh, well, China, Japan, has this, and it's like, yeah, but they don't have 100 million people from another country that have been living in their country for decades or hundreds of years. You know, like they don't. It's not the same situation. You can't compare countries. It doesn't work, right? It's just like when people are like, oh, well, look at Sweden. They can have their socialism, this, and that. It's like they have completely different issues than America has. They don't have 30 million illegal immigrants within their country taking resources. They don't have a lot of different issues, a lot of different things that America has. People seem like, oh, it'll be easier. Well, it's existed in the past, so this must mean it can exist again. It's like, yeah, but we have not, like, history repeats itself to some extent, but we do not have, at no point in history have there been the same circumstances that we have now. This will change the outcome of what you want. So, it's not feasible. But, like I said before, you know, if you guys actually want to make change, some of you guys are going to have to start to show your face. And I know that's bad and you're going to get screwed over by it, but that is necessary. Like, honestly, that is necessary. So, you know, come out and get your reputation ruined like Jared Taylor or Richard Spencer, who can't even get a fucking lawyer, essentially, and all these other people who can't get jobs now. You have to become one of these people, honestly. Like, I'm not trying to make you ruin your life, but change requires sacrifice. That's just the truth of life. So stop bitching to other people when you hide your face online, because you're not willing to actually do anything. And if you're not even willing to show your face, don't act like you'd be willing to go through with kicking people out yourself, because if it's 100 million people, you're gonna have to actually help, because you're not gonna have enough police, enough government to do this. So you think logistically and stuff. But that's all I pretty much had to say, and I'm not trying to attack you guys too much, but these are things you need to realize and come to terms with. And honestly, I'm trying to make most of you guys libertarian. I think I can convince you guys to turn away from authoritarianism, because it is wrong. It's going to fuck you over in the end, and it's going to speed up the process of what you're trying to prevent. And I think the majority of people in the alt-right do not want that to happen, obviously. So become more for freedom, become more for small government. You know, these are the things that we should strive towards. Okay, that's what I think anyways. But if you like my content, subscribe and have a good day. See ya.